Hello and welcome on this beautiful Sunday evening. Very excited because today is the first and last game of this World Cup. It's the only one that matters. It's India v Pakistan. The reason behind this World Cup happening every year. Well, one or the other World Cup happening every year. That's right. I only speak the truth on this show. With me, people who are a little more tactful and disguise the honesty with a little bit of sugar coating. Mr. Harsha Bhogle and Mr. Zaheer Khan joining me. Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm trying to show energy.
ऐसे सर मुक्का मार के क्यों दिखा रहे हो सर?
ऐसे ही
aggression.
नहीं मैं सोच रहा था sugar coating वगैरह बोला तो I said okay. हाँ.
But I feel like if you want to punch something, if you could just punch the cloud that is over New York State.
It might not help.
Why?
The cloud might burst then.
But
don't
burst
want the
it,
cloud
then
to
it'll
burst.
finish, no? Then it'll burst and finish.
लेकिन जो burst होगा come down no.
As you can tell, I know very little about meteorological cycles, much like everything else. I know very little about a lot. I also know very little about where Dinesh Karthik is right now, but what I do know is that he's not here in person. He complained something about my stinky socks or something, but we do have him joining us from an undisclosed location. Hello, DK, how are you?
Hello, GK. I'm really going to miss the DK and GK mid-show. I'm sure you're not missing it, but I will.
Of course I'm going to miss it, man. I like DK and GK, but I've got a impact sub. I've got ZK here today.
Good one.
So, of course, we're getting to know nothing about where Dinesh Karthik is with that sun mica that is behind him. I think he's in the 1980s. That's the only thing I can establish with any certainty.
In an earlier incarnation.
Something is going on. Well, of course, India-Pakistan. DK, let's just start with your thoughts on this game first, because obviously 2022, when these two teams played in the T20 World Cup, you know a little about that game.
I do. It was a game, on a personal note, was very, not the best, let's put it that way. But what a game it was overall. Just the crowd, the weather, the atmosphere in terms of how it was, the build-up to that game, outstanding. We had played them a couple of times in Asia Cup. Once we just crossed the line. Once they just crossed the line. So this was like the third match of that series, and the World Cup. What a game that culminated into one of the greatest games of T20 cricket I've ever played. And thanks to the man, Mr. Virat Kohli, it was remembered well and truly by everybody. It was a game that we were done and dusted at about the 6th, 7th over mark. Clearly, we were not even with touching distance. And then the way the game turned on its head, thanks to Hardik Pandya, who started it off, and then Virat Kohli just finishing it off in the usual Virat Kohli style. I've been part of many matches, but none like that.
That's another guy part of our club, ZK, DK, GK and VK. And of course, to tell us about the atmosphere, a gentleman who was there immortalized that game with his words. How was the atmosphere that day?
It was something else because it was at the MCG.
Yeah.
And the MCG was packed. I remember I was hosting for the ICC. We were out on the ground, not a seat in sight.
Yeah.
And everybody was trying to look very cool. And I was saying, everyone's trying so hard to be cool. Yeah. Obviously, you're not. The Pakistan players come in saying, hello, kaise ho, just chilling out. And I said, yeah, you're really that chill? Yeah. But what I do remember is it was another India-Pakistan game where we lost wickets early.
Yeah.
And it had started to become a pattern almost, losing wickets early. Then Akshar Patel came out, up the order, then got run out. When someone gets run out early on, just around the power play, you think things are going against you.
Yeah.
So at 28 of 8 balls, I think you're forgiven for thinking. There was no pressure because you're forgiven for thinking this game is over here.
Yeah.
And then he just turned it around in the manner only he can, man. That shot that he hit at 18.5, I asked him afterwards, I said, tell me your thought on that.
Yeah.
Because that ball is not supposed to go for 6. And he said, wo ho gaya.
And obviously we have Zaheer here who knows, let's just talk about Virat. He was the star of that game. He's been the star of many World Cups, many chases.
In fact, almost every India-Pakistan game.
He just checks in.
He's been there in the middle,
There's a big game and he checks in. And Zach is someone who's seen him from early days in his career to even now. There's just something about him, right? It's one of those, he's almost like a cooker, right? The more pressure you put, the more louder it whistles and destroys everyone's peace.
Well, I mean, one word to describe that is he's so driven.
Yeah.
And that's something which has stood with him right throughout his career. Even right now, the kind of energy which he puts in, even in the IPL, we've seen where the team was and how he kept believing. And I think the intensity which just rubbed on the whole group.
Yeah.
So that's what happens. I think, with him, he's just gotten so used to now carrying the burden of everyone on his shoulders. That's something which he enjoys doing. And what I like about his approach is it's not about just his batting. It's just the body language which he wants to showcase every time, the hunger which he has shown right throughout, and in the field that 150% commitment is something which is phenomenal. And I think there's so much to learn from him for each and every individual who is playing the game or who has played the game. Just to keep pushing that bar. And setting these examples, setting these goals has been right throughout his career.
Yeah, you can just tell. You can even tell even right now the kind of fire that he brings. Whether sorry, DK.
Sorry, I'm the one who interjected. I'm very sorry.
No, go on.
As I said, I've played a few games, and I've got many congratulatory messages when things have gone well, when the team has done well for keeping whatever. But that was the only day, I think. A, I got a duck. B, I got more than 500 messages post that match.
Yeah.
And at least 65 to 70% was how well I ran between the wickets. And what did I do? All in the stump and ran. It was a free hit and I ran 3 there. And I got so many messages for running well between the wickets. I'll never ever forget that day just for that.
But that's part of the game too. I'll tell you, he talked about Kohli. We all talk about Kohli and batting. To me, one of the images of this year's IPL was Kohli running a batter out, direct hit, with that run. DK, you'll remember that, with that run from the deep, and literally almost underhanded. He did throw.
Lying on the ground, basically, and throwing.
Yeah, literally came out of the crowd and hitting the stumps direct. I thought hitting the stumps is okay. You can't control hitting the stumps. But that he got there at that speed and released the ball. I said, this guy is conning us, man. He's not his age.
Yeah, but it's true, and DK will tell us, because what happens is these days with camera angles, the way they cut, you can't tell, right? You got to be pretty much in the stands, or even better, you got to have a vantage point view that DK had. Just his reaction time and how quick he is, the cameras don't do justice to just how quick his reaction time is.
GK, if you'd listened to what Zach had said, I couldn't agree more. I think for a lot of young boys and girls who are watching, yes, his batting is phenomenal and all of that. Bowling, don't go there about Virat Kohli. But let's talk about one aspect where we need to speak about Virat Kohli. It's his attitude on the field. He is the only player last year to have got his 3 runouts, all 3 direct hits. If you remember, one was the one that Harsha is talking about. One, he got Shahrukh Khan in the game. And then even in the eliminator, when the game was done and dusted, he got Dhruv Jurel run out from the deep in Ahmedabad ground, which is a massive side. Yeah. Just his attitude. And that comes about only if you're A, concentrating, B, you have the intensity, C, and most important thing, you have the intent towards winning the game every ball that is there. And that man embodies that every second that he is out there. What an outstanding ideology towards how the sport needs to be played. That is what Virat Kohli is.
Intensity, of course, is a great word to use in an India-Pakistan game, and I'm just talking about the fans. I'm just talking about the intensity that the fans bring, because when you look at the rivalry, Harsha, we were talking about this. It's pretty interesting, because a rivalry is when you have some semblance of equality, perhaps, right? And your observation is absolutely correct, because, Zach, this is resoundingly in India's favour, right? Leave aside that Dubai encounter, and that was, again, a resounding win for them. 10-wicket win is a drubbing. But otherwise, India has, basically, I said yesterday, India has won the first set 6-1.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it has to be a rhetorical question if you ask who's under pressure in this game. Because that's how things have been for the Indian team. It just pretty much, now every time Pakistan is playing against India in these encounters, they're going in with doubt in their minds. And that is the biggest advantage for anyone to have as a team. Because before the game is started, you know that the crunch moment, you need to have that belief. Yeah. You need to back yourself. You need to show that intent. And the moment the pressure is going to come in, or that crunch moment is going to come in, you know there's more often than not Pakistan is going to crumble. The only time they've managed to win the game against India is when they've got those early wickets. So that phase is so crucial when you're looking at this game. Yeah. If Pakistan doesn't get that, they very quickly go in that mindset where they start thinking, here we go again.
That's
it's going to be a repeat of whatever has been happening. And India is a very strong side. I mean, let's just be very
That's true,
open
but
about
India
it
doesn't even need to. India doesn't even need to put pressure on Pakistan. Pakistan puts pressure on Pakistan. That's what they end up doing, and that will happen again today, won't it?
Everybody talks about how hard Indian fans are.
Yeah.
You must go on some message boards or whatever and see what Pakistan fans have to say about Pakistan cricket. Yeah. And you'll think our fans are the politest, quietest, simplest people in the world. But I agree with Zach. I get the feeling that Pakistan have to almost come out believing the impossible, saying, no, we can, and play out of their skins. Yeah. If Pakistan are playing out of their skins with that fierce determination, they've got a chance. But if they just turn up, they can be very flat, very insipid. They just turned up against the US.
Yeah.
I was watching a program recently and it said it was a whole case study on how you can do everything wrong.
Yeah, that is correct.
Against the USA.
If you need to do opposite of everything, have a look at
that
this.
Super over. Mohammed Amir, one of the better bowlers in world cricket, is bowling that super over. 1/4 of the first ball, conceded 18.
Yeah, that was just...
Overthrows were on buy one, get one free.
Isn't it like, you watch these reels where these kids are playing and they do those funny overthrows and they manage to run 3 or 4? It was a bit like that with professional cricketers. It's professional cricketers, DK. I mean, with Pakistan, you're always a little... It's true. You're always a little worried. Which team are they going to play against, right? Because on most days, they end up and they play against themselves.
Which is the problem. Sometimes, if you've got a bowler who's bowling crap, then all of a sudden that one ball comes.
Yeah.
And you say, where did this come from? Pakistan will generate that kind of performance.
Yeah. Well, there's a word I never thought Mr. Bhogle would use. I like it. It's a good start. I can feel the intensity of the game already. It's been dampened a little bit because of the rain, but I just want to tell you that there is a pitch inspection happening in 1 minute from now. So which means, obviously, the rain has stopped and they're going to have a look at it. And I think the outfield inspection has told us, DK, that there is a certain gentleman called Chris Gayle wearing a tricolour jacket, getting autographs of all the Indian players outside. Never a dull moment with him. Never a dull moment with him, is there?
What a character he is. We played this game RCB CSK and we had to win it to qualify. And he was there after the game. He was in fact watching the game when he came back to the dressing room. Man, he is a different species altogether. He is fun to be around. He had so many jokes on everyone. He started with Mani Kaka, who's an old man who was part of the team from day one. The master has so much time and respect for him, and all the way up to the youngest guy who hasn't played. He follows the sport in a very close manner. And there's never a dull moment with Chris Gayle around.
But he's wearing a tricolour.
He's wearing a tricolour jacket, and I tell you, there was a time, I think it was 2014 perhaps, that after one of the games they played against Mumbai in Wankhede, after the game at the hotel, this is one of those games that he was getting runs in every game at that time. I have seen him eat an ice cream sundae. There was 4 scoops of ice cream with sauce and nuts and cherries and everything. And I was like, what are you doing? He says, yeah, man, dinner of champions, man. So I'm like, this is Chris Gayle. Ripped six-pack. Oh, man. You got to be just a little envious of those genes that can pound the ice cream at 1 a.m. And still be all right. Okay, so the pitch inspection is happening right now. Meanwhile, we'll have a quick look at our Naukri career score. That's what we're going to have a look at. The good folk at Naukri, of course, great to tell you how to enhance your career. And I've also figured out a new and innovative and interesting way to have a look at cricket stats. So we're going to do that. We, of course, are featuring Jasprit Bumrah today because, well, he's brilliant. He's brilliant.
Yeah, he's Jasprit Bumrah. He's a match winner.
He's Jasprit Bumrah. Yeah. But the one thing, of course, that has happened, and the one thing we have to look at, of course, he ranks high in everything, and he will rank high in pretty much everything. I think the only thing he's not ranking high in is longevity, Zach, because he hasn't played that much T20 cricket, and that's a fact. He hasn't played that much T20 cricket in the last couple of years, especially since that last World Cup.
Well, T20 format, you shouldn't really look at it that much because he's 3-format player.
Yeah.
And usually we've seen with all the 3-format players, they have to pick and choose at some stage. And usually T20 is that format which they prefer not to play just to get themselves ready for the crucial matches and stuff. But with Jasprit, I think, in the last couple of years, he was struggling with that back injury as well. So because of that, he couldn't play for about 6-8 months. I think he was out. But generally, Test matches is something which he's now regularly playing. I've been telling him that, workload management is something which is very overrated.
Yeah.
And if he's able to play more and more matches, nothing like it. You can manage your workload in the nets.
Yeah.
And that's what he should be doing. So these numbers are very good out there. So Nokri has done a good job.
Yeah.
Another message for him to make sure, figure out a way of just playing as many games as possible.
But the other thing the numbers tell you, DK, is that it's quality over quantity, that he may not be playing those many T20Is, but the ones that he plays, look at his win contribution, is number one. He's second to none when it comes to that. So when he plays, he really, really plays.
Absolutely. Just as an example, this IPL was a great eye-opener for anybody who's watched it. Yes, the team didn't do well, but almost in any person's IPL 11 of the year, he was there.
Yeah.
It just tells you about the man. And those two are the biggest reasons why situational performance and win contributions. He does well more often than not. The team ends up winning. He is someone who is extremely self-confident and brings his best in the toughest of situations, and also bowls the toughest overs in T20 cricket.
Yeah. So here's
He's
something.
an absolute diamond.
Yeah. Go on, Dick. In that Pakistan change room, which is the player they're talking about the most? Are they talking about Virat Kohli the most? Are they talking about Jasprit Bumrah the most? Apart from those two, my gut feel is while they will talk a great deal about Virat Kohli, I won't be surprised if they're talking about Jasprit Bumrah just a little bit more.
I feel like they're probably not talking about him as much as they're just getting sleepless nights. They're just like saying his name out in their sleep as a nightmare, because he is a nightmare bowler. What makes him so special, Zach? You spent so much time with him in the Mumbai setup. What makes him so special?
His approach to the game, he's very thorough in terms of getting himself ready for any format. And, that's something which it stands out, that he likes to see data. He likes to go out there, bowl that many deliveries in the nets. In spite of playing the whole test series and bowling that many overs, when it came to getting ready for franchise cricket, he made sure that he bowls enough overs just to get the feel of the white ball. So that's the kind of approach he's had. So he's got great work ethics. When you're looking at the skill set, he has it all, isn't it? The bouncer is something which he should be using more often than not, but he doesn't have to use that. That's the kind of level of skills he's got, be it slower one, be it Yorkers. Yeah, he's a complete bowler.
DK, it's been 10 years and that action still looks as weird as it did 10 years ago, right? It's so unusual. Nobody like it in world cricket. As a batter, tell us, does that action come into play at all?
Massively. That's his biggest strength. You can ask Zach and he'll tell you that if you see it from side on, his release point becomes his biggest strength, because the way he releases it is slightly ahead of a lot of other bowlers. So when you're constantly practicing batting, you have a certain visual cue as to where the ball is released to decide if it's a full ball or it's a short ball. With Jasprit Bumrah, picking that visual cue becomes the hardest part of facing him. And that's why batters are late. They struggle with the bouncer. Ask Harry Tector and he'll tell you how painful it can be. And the fact that he has a venomous Yorker, and to beat it all up, he's now learned the ability to swing the ball both ways, and he's making test batting very, very hard as well. He's a man who is very thorough. There's this analogy, different strokes for different folks. So Shami is someone who hardly sees any videos. He'll just turn up for the game, just come bowl, which is with his upright seam, do what he does. Jasprit Bumrah, on the other hand, is a very thorough guy. He'll sit down with the analyst. He'll go through all the videos. He has a certain cues as to what he should do to each batter, prepare himself. So he's very thorough with what fields he wants. Yes, he has this slight little adjustment depending on the pitch, but more often than not, as a captain, all you need to do is just go stand next to him and he will tell you what the field is, and he will deliver exactly according to what the field is being set. And that makes the work of the captain very, and that also shows why he can be a very good leader. And most importantly, it shows that when he is prepared that well, all he is thinking about is executing his skill set on that given day. And he is one of those who strives for excellence every day he plays the sport.
Yeah, and he reaches that excellence, doesn't he? Well, that was Jasprit Bumrah, who is on our Nokri career score. And I think the number that you want to see is his win contribution. Number one. And that's what India will be hoping today as well. I just, when we're talking about bowlers, Zach, I just want to ask you one thing, because we, of course, are seeing a lot of day games here, right? Which are day games there, because we're seeing it in the morning. Is there genuinely, like, because we've seen some swing, etc. Are we genuinely seeing what you see literally on a test morning, on the morning of a test, the first half an hour, 45 minutes, actually helping the bowlers with swing, etc.?
Absolutely. All those conditions and thought process is something which is applied here as well. We've seen in IPL, usually teams prefer to bowl first because of the dew factor.
Yeah.
They're not sure if the dew is going to come, not come. If it comes, it's going to make it difficult. Similarly here, in the morning games, what happens, you have the freshness of the pitch.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll get that extra movement, and that lasts generally for half an hour or so. Now, half an hour in a T20 game is a long duration.
Yeah.
So you can take advantage of that. And if of all the games, today's game, I think toss is going to be the most important part. If you are able to win the toss and bowl first, that team will surely have that advantage.
Yeah, because, there's enough bowlers on both sides, Harsha, who can exploit those conditions.
There's 4 very good bowlers in the opposition.
Yeah.
Normally they say at the toss, you do what is best for your team. You don't think about what is not good for the other team, because you're looking at your strengths. But there's 4 very good bowlers in that opposition. So you don't want them to take first advantage of that ball. Having said that, and it's something I thought about on the way here, you look at Amir, you look at Shaheen, you look at Aris Rauf, you look at Naseem Shah. I saw them in the last game. Every one of them looked a little undercooked. Shaheen has looked undercooked for a while now.
Yeah.
But Amir in that super over, Naseem Shah is probably their best bowler in terms of sheer pace and movement. And while the speed gun was clocking, the speed gun, I think, sometimes the speed gun is operated by mothers. It's a very nice, very polite speed gun. He didn't look like he was bowling 140, 143, 145, to be honest. So he didn't look like Naseem Shah. So I just wonder, those 4 bowlers, Zach, in your view, are they the same threat that we perceive them to be? Are they bowling as well?
Well, conditions is a bigger threat right now.
Yeah.
So if you are able to get the ball in the right areas on this pitch, you will certainly extract a lot of movement. So if you're attacking the stumps, you're going to be as good as any bowler in the world on today's day.
Yeah.
And that is something which we've seen by the scores also, in terms of the winning total on this track. It might be 150, 160. So that's the kind of scores which you're talking about. Any team which has batted first here have been struggling. So that is going to be evident. So I think toss and getting the ball in the right areas is something which one should focus on without really looking too much into data and the analytics and the pre-planning of the game.
Yeah, and of course, with the rain and being overcast, I guess you'd want to bowl first even more. Well, the update we have from New York is that the toss is going to happen at 8 p.m. Indian Standard Time, and the game is going to start at 8:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. No overs are going to be lost, so it's going to be a 20-over game, which you want. You don't. It's a game that a lot of people wait for. A lot of people have traveled the world for. You don't want that to be truncated because of weather. Probably going to get truncated because of the pitch anyway, but you don't want that to happen with the weather. But in all fairness, DK, the previous game, they didn't play it here. This is the first time Pakistan is playing over here. The conditions are going to help them a little more. That one, perhaps Dallas, you've seen more runs being scored over there anyway. But yeah, I guess they were a little undercooked because they just haven't played that much going into it. That series, they lost to rain as well. Half of the series, they lost to rain against England as well. But you can pretty much be guaranteed that they'll be all guns blazing today?
I really hope they do. If they turn up anywhere close to how they came against America, it's a foregone conclusion what the result could be. They really need to bring their A game. In Dallas, on a good batting pitch, they batted very ordinarily. Their bowling definitely wasn't up to the mark. Even though the ball was reversing, they still weren't as effective as they should have been. All of that put together, I think they would have definitely gone back, had a good sleepover, a debrief session, and said, we need to wake up as a team, because they've done this before where they've lost a game in the qualifying stage but gone on to reach the final. So they know how that can be done, but they can't start every tournament behind the 8-ball. That puts a lot of pressure on the team itself and the captain and everything that surrounds the team. They need to wake up in every skill set that they own right now. Their fielding was appalling. Their bowling definitely not up to the mark, and their batting can be a lot better. They have a very wobbly middle order. It's interesting to see what 11 they come up with. So overall, they really need to sharpen themselves up before this game.
He makes a valid point about the reverse swing. How much has the ball reversed in this tournament other than in that game? And in that game, 12th, 13th over, the ball's reversing. You'd imagine you're playing against New Zealand, you're playing against the US, you've got a ball that's reversing so much, you've got to believe that is your game, right? But that ball reversed more than at any other time.
Yeah, are you referring to Rusty's tweet?
I'm not referring to Rusty's tweet, I'm just referring to what I saw. I don't have the bandwidth to refer to Rusty's tweet. But
Just saying, I won't say anymore, but you can Google Rusty's tweet and you can find out what I'm talking about. But Zach, just want to bring you in on this because the thing with Pakistan is, yes, we're talking about their bowling because we know the potential their bowling has. And I guess them underperforming was just such a glaring miss between where they can be and where they were. But let's call a spade a spade. Their bowling is far stronger suit than their batting because their batting, I think DK is being very kind when he says that the middle order is wobbly because it's a little worse than just wobbly.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you're looking at Pakistan cricket in general, their stars have over the years been bowlers. You know, it's one of the teams who you will see they talk about bowlers more than the batters.
Fair.
And you'll often have 1-2 guys they will be dependent on when it comes to batting. Here also that's something which is not changed, isn't it? You're talking about Babar and Rizwan, maybe Iftikhar Ahmed for a certain degree. Fakhar Zaman also have not been very consistent. So all those factors have remained the same. So for Pakistan to have that impact in any tournament, you need their bowlers to be in form, and that is something which is going to be the case in this tournament as well. So Babar and Rizwan and Iftikhar, maybe Fakhar Zaman with his power is something which they'll be dependent on to come in form, for them to start competing in this tournament.
Yeah, they need Fakhar Zaman because we've seen Fakhar Zaman's potential. We've seen him get some big hits. He's obviously not in form going into this tournament. But the fact that this happens puts a lot more pressure on Babar. That's why Babar's 40 or 40 ends up becoming the kind of the saving act because he's looking behind and going, I haven't got much.
I mean, he makes 40 or 40. You're hoping you're playing a 130, 140 game.
Yeah.
Because if you're playing 40 or 40, you're not winning otherwise.
True.
But the advantage with Fakhar Zaman is since he's gone at number 4, his strike rate's gone up. In Pakistan, everyone loves to talk about Babar's aggregate and Babar's average.
Yeah.
The two factors that count the least in T20 cricket.
Yeah.
You can have a very high average, you can have a very high aggregate, and you could lose a lot of matches for your team. So they'll need him to get a move on. He looked very rusty. He looked very rusty in that game against the US. He was 4 or 14 balls in the power play. So he needs to get a move on. I think their fear is that unless Babar and Rizwan give them a start, you expect too much from the middle order. But there's a lot of talent there. Don't get that wrong. That Usman Khan, I've seen Usman Khan play. He can bat. They've ensured that he can't go back to the UAE again because he had actually agreed. He played the PSL as an overseas player, by the way, because he decided to settle in the UAE.
Yeah.
So that's gone now. He's got to prove himself as a Pakistan player because that option is now dead for him.
Yeah.
You see, Shadab can bat. I don't think Azam Khan will play. Saim Ayub can bat. They can all bat. It's just that I wonder under pressure whether they're all coming together to deliver. And I have no clue what's going on in that change room. There could be a tempest. There could be a brawl. There could be anything going on in that dressing room.
Yeah.
But if there's one team where their performance yesterday bears no resemblance or you can have no forecasting technique that can tell you what their performance is going to be today is Pakistan.
Yeah, that is. If there's one team where, you're being kind. If there's one team that you don't know at 8 p.m. what they'll do at 9 p.m., that's Pakistan. And that's what they end up doing, which is what makes them so exciting to watch, I guess. It's the unpredictability, the volatility. But we go from one opener, Babar Azam, or captain opener, to another captain opener. We're talking about Rohit, and we're talking about the one threat to him, DK, which is Rishte mein to hum tumhe out karte hain, naam Shaheen Shah. Right? With Shaheen Shah, when you see his wagon wheel, Rohit's not getting much in the wheel.
This is a very highly misleading wagon wheel. It's actually not a bad place to be because if this is the wagon wheel, that means Shaheen Shah A has bowled a lot more short.
Yeah.
That's why it is there. Rohit is someone who can play down the ground and also is playing the ball much later, which is a good sign. So if I was Rohit Sharma and if I'm looking at that wagon wheel, I'd be like, not bad. I'll take that. Though I must say in 2021 when Rohit got out bowled, that's when the alarm bells rang, I guess, when Rohit Sharma and KL Rahul were dismissed early in the power play. Then they found out a way to get past Shaheen Afridi, because after that, every time they've played him, even in the Asia Cup, in the recently concluded 50-over Asia Cup, in fact, they took him on. The only difference being there should be slightly lesser swing. But in New York, there is swing and a little bit of seam. So Shaheen Shah will be a good threat to a lot of the Indian batters, not just Rohit Sharma, because he always targets the front pad and is at the stump. But what Shaheen Shah does do is he gets greedy and bowls a lot fuller at times than he should. That's when he goes for runs. And if that happens, you will see that we being exploited a little bit more. But overall, in his career, interestingly, Rohit Sharma's record against left-arm medium pace or left-arm fast bowling has been slightly lesser than the other variables that come through in terms of bowling.
He makes a point. I think it was Shubman Gill who went after him. There was this one game, Shubman just started attacking him. Very different conditions to what they're going to get in New York. But Shubman went after him and tended to scatter Shaheen Afridi's length. And I think thereafter, people have said, let's go hard at him early on. But as DK said, you go hard early on, you run the risk of losing a couple of wickets. You don't want to suddenly be 10 for 3, right?
Yeah. It's a good point, actually, DK, that you bring up about Rohit against left-arm pace, because that's actually the threat to him in the power play, Zach. Left-arm pace somehow seems to be his Achilles heel.
Generally, for a lot of right-handers, if someone...
Who are you talking to?
As a left-hander...
You're asking a left-hand bowler about the Achilles heel of the batters.
Exactly.
He's bound to agree.
Yeah, no, of course, the numbers also agree. I mean, he's going to tell us why.
Yeah.
Generally, the ball coming back into the right-handers, if you have that ability, and if you're bowling at a decent pace, you've seen a lot of right-hand batters struggle with the variations of a left-armer. So it's just about a bowler being in good rhythm, hitting those areas consistently, getting swing, and bowling at a good pace is something which a left armer works towards.
Yeah.
And if he's able to do that consistently, he can trouble any batter in the world.
By the way, you're going to see this. You're going to see this in a little while, because Pakistan has won the toss and they are going to be bowling first for the exact same reason.
Surprise,
Babar Azam said that we're going to utilize the conditions. And
There's one question I wanted to ask both DK and you and Zach. We saw Virat Kohli in a completely different avatar playing in the IPL. In these conditions, does he play like he played in the IPL, charging down fast bowlers, hitting them over mid-on, mid-off? Or does he go back to the innings builder Virat Kohli in these conditions?
well, we actually saw Rohit doing that in the first game,
Yes,
right?
he did.
DK, when we were watching that, it was he who was just... he wanted to have a good old heave-ho at that time. But... Virat perhaps going into the mode that you need, like the previous, not the IPL mode, but the mode that is more respectful for these conditions.
Virat Kohli doesn't like failures. No batter likes, but more so Virat Kohli. He'll temper himself down. He'll realize that playing in Chinnaswamy is very different to playing in New York. He might not go all gung-ho at the start, take a little bit of time, but he will still attack. He will definitely look to step out. He will look to flick over mid-wicket. These are shots that he'll still look to achieve, but he might not take a lot more risk like he did during IPL, because the pitches are not that easy to bat on. That's the fact. He actually somewhere has to bring in his test skills for the first couple of overs if the ball is swinging and seaming, and that you will see a lot of drop and run quick singles. Rohit needs to be ready for that, and that's what gets the best out of Virat Kohli. In challenging conditions, he likes to run hard at the start, try and keep the ball as close to him, play it late, but run the single. But if anything is there full, and by get the cover drive or the flick that we're all used to seeing.
Yeah, of course, we'd love to see those. Just saying, Zach, slight advantage to Pakistan winning the toss and bowling first?
Yeah, for sure. Because of the conditions, we've seen that if as a bowling unit, you will have that enough help from the pitch. If you get it right, then you can cause troubles. Early wickets is something which they will be thinking about for sure. And we have to wait and see that what kind of approach, what kind of alteration, what kind of adaptation which you will see from the Indian batting lineup. Because you don't want to be too defensive as well in your approach.
Yeah.
You don't want to go in a shell and respecting the conditions too much. Like how DK was trying to point out that the option clarity is something which every batter will have. Maybe this is not the ground where you will be looking at 70 runs in the power play. Yeah. But you can easily have 45 as a target, 50 as a target. Just wait for the bowlers to commit those errors, have your clarity. Let the pressure get to them. Because as a bowling unit, here you are expected to take wickets in the first 3 overs.
Yeah.
If you don't get that, then what are you going to get into that mode where you start trying something, you get desperate for wickets, and that's the time to encash. So I think these two batters are experienced enough to know that. So they will respect the conditions, but not too much. They'll have their options cut out. Maybe a step out is something which will be option for Virat. And you've seen Rohit. He uses the short pitch short pitch deliveries very well. So that is something which he'll be thinking of. So he'll force the bowlers to come in his areas. And same with Virat. So that will be the approach from both the batters.
Yeah, just very clever.
That's a great point that Zach is saying. As a batter, GK, in tough conditions like this, when you know it's very much in favor of the bowler, the follow-up ball is what you do, or rather what you show intent for. What that means is if you step out, you don't need to go through with a big shot and commit to a big shot. You step out and just, if it is full, just flick it. Or if you just look to just pierce the gap. But the follow-up ball, you know, the bowler is already thinking, okay, this guy is stepped out. That's when you'll get the slightly short of length ball. If you stand deep in the crease, then you can execute the pull shot rather. So that's how you need to play with the bowler's mind. The follow-up ball becomes so key as a batter and not the shot that you're committing to in the first place.
I just, before we show you the teams, I just want to take 1 second to acknowledge how bright and cheerful DK's shirt is. I love it.
Flower. He's the flower. He's the ultimate flower person.
It's lovely. It's lovely. I love it. I love it. All right, let's have a look at the teams. With India, of course, no surprise, no change in the 11 that played the previous game. Here it is up on your screen. The captain Rohit Sharma opening with Virat Kohli. Rishabh Pant at 3. Surya Kumar Yadav, Shivam Dube, Hardik Pandya, Ravindra Jadeja, Akshar Patel. And then the 3 quicks. It's Siraj, Bumrah, and Arshdeep Singh. So absolutely no surprises there. That's the 11. It pretty much looks like they're going to carry on with this unless maybe get a third spin option at some point in time. If you think that there's going to be a lot more turn, maybe Kuldeep comes in. But it looks like they're going to play with this team, at least for the first few games. Pakistan, that's the team we were looking at. What's the change they would make? We discussed it yesterday. Imad Wasim. So Imad Wasim is in the team for Azam Khan. So that's the change that's there. We're Babar Azam, Mohammed Rizwan, Usman Khan, Fakhar Zaman, Shadab Khan, Iftikhar, Ahmed, Imad Wasim. Then, of course, you have the battery of quicks with Shaheen Shah, with Harris, Naseem Shah, and Mohammad Amir.
You know, they've already got 4 fast bowlers there. They've picked Imad Wasim or Shadab, one of the two, over a regular batter. So, in my view, they're playing Shadab as a batter today, and they're playing him ahead of an Azam Khan or a Saeed Mayoub. They're playing him as a batter today. Yeah. So, they're going in with 6 bowlers today, plus Iftikhar. We underestimate Iftikhar's bowling.
Yeah.
So, they've got enough bowling options. In spite of that, they've gone in with Imad Wasim. So, they obviously rate Imad Wasim's batting. They rate Shadab Khan's batting. But if you're 3 down...
Yeah.
Imad Wasim, you look at the scorecards, he'll get, whenever I've seen him on the score, is 30 of 14 balls. Yeah. I've never seen him score 65, 70, whatever.
Yeah.
And 30 of 12 balls, you're scoring them on good pitches.
Yeah.
So if India can get into them quickly, then I think that batting order is looking a little brittle for my liking.
It's light. It is light, Zach.
It is light, yeah. There's no doubt about it. And when you're looking at this batting lineup, there's hardly any power. Like they're relying on Shadab Khan to provide that power.
So therefore, Imad, to provide the power down the order?
But you were just kind of dividing, you know. So maybe the better option was to go with a pure batter and just give batting that much of strength because the conditions are going to be challenging. You know, you have to look at the venue as well. And so far, what has been happening on this venue. So you maybe on these kind of days, you can actually afford to have a regular batter because strike rate is something which is not of priority on this pitch.
Yeah.
You know, you might be chasing 130 and that might turn out to be a winning total on this pitch if you get early wickets. And if you're looking at that kind of a game, then you don't need power hitters. You don't need half and half players. You already have 4 bowlers. You back Iftikhar to do the job as your 5th or 6th bowler, Shadab, and Iftikhar can finish the quota of 4 overs and you'll still be in the game. It's just about now getting those runs. So even if you're bowling first, right now you'll still have to put yourself under pressure to make sure that India doesn't get to 130, 140.
Yeah, because DK, when you look at that batting lineup, when you're
Sorry, GK. Also, if you do see how Imad Wasim bowls, he is the most effective with the brand new ball. Because he doesn't turn a ball. He relies on just the arm ball which comes in. But you have Naseem Shah and Shaheen Afridi who are definitely going to bowl with the new ball. So, and the fact that India has Rishabh Pant and Shivam Dube through the middle, it could be really hard for him to bowl through the middle. So, they're going to accommodate a left-arm spinner. And actually, they have a very interesting bowler called Abrar Ahmed, who was very good in PSL,
Exactly.
done well in Test cricket, and is a bit of a mystery. And one that could have troubled Indian batters. I just hope their thinking is they don't want to expose him this early in the tournament. But for them, already they are on the back foot a little bit. So they are playing a team which has a combination that is not, let's say, that is not expected to be extremely effective with the new ball. And if the spinners bowl in the middle, they could go for a little bit of runs, considering we have some good left-handers, interestingly, that India has picked.
Yeah, there's 4 left-handers in the 8. It's 4 left and 4 right. So it's a bit of an odd choice, this one. We'll see how it plays out. And of course, they're going to be chasing. So as Zach says, if India gets away to a 130, 140, close to a 150 perhaps, then as Indian bowlers, you're just thinking, Babar, right? You're just thinking, I get one guy. It's like kill Darius, right? That old saying where you just I get Babar and that's it. The cat is amongst the pigeons.
Yeah, because I feel even Iftikhar Ahmed is batting in the wrong position. He's someone who is very good in the middle overs, but because they have lack of power in that batting lineup, they are forced to use him in that position as a finisher. And that is not helping him. That is not helping the team. All these muddled thinking is very evident in that camp, and we have to wait and see how it pans out for them.
The real mystery with Pakistan is never the mystery bowlers or the mystery batters. It's always their mystery tactics. That's the real mystery with them. Well, there's a little bit of mystery in New York as well. The mystery of when the match will start, because the covers are back on. That's right. Covers are back on. The rain has intensified. Everybody has gone back in. Well, everyone.
Look, if the game doesn't start by 9 o'clock, I think you start losing overs.
That's right, you do.
Yeah.
India.
I remember a game in Kolkata, 2016, and luckily that covered the whole ground. Played an 18-over game, became a 120 game. Again, India chased Virat. Virat took you over the line. But a shorter game will suddenly change the dynamics, right? Who's better off playing a shorter game?
Since India has lost the toss and Pakistan is bowling first, the shortened game is going to benefit. It's going to make the game even right now.
Yeah. Because I always think the longer the game, the better it is for India. The shorter the game, the more lottery it is. It becomes a shootout. Anyone can win.
Yeah, I guess for Pakistan, because then again, if their batting is the one that's under duress, a shorter game means smaller total to chase, more batters you have available. So yeah, well, anyway, we don't know when the game will start, but yeah, that's what. Everything that can pretty much go wrong with this India-Pakistan game is going wrong. The outfield, the pitch, runs not coming, now the rain. The fact that this game is happening in Long Island and most Indians live in Jersey City, so they are having to leave 4 hours before to reach the stadium.
Can you imagine you come 4 hours all the way, you come to this spot in Long Island and it rains? I really hope they get a game.
Yeah.
Because everybody who is anybody in New York has waited for this game. They've paid through their nose to come there. And if it rains, it's going to be a damper in every sense. So really want the game to go on.
Yeah, well, there's $10,000 well spent. But we have a Joy Factor question, which is free for everyone. In fact, I'm thinking, what is Joy saying? Oh, Joy is saying $10,000 to the winner of this. Oh, that's great. Lovely. Thanks, Joy. That's very generous of you. Apparently $10,000 from Joy, the first person who can get this right. Let's see. Here's the question.
Someone's going to edit that bit out and send it to you.
Send it to Joy. In international cricket, which batting record is held by Mohammed Amir, with Shoaib Akhtar in second and Makhaya Ntini?
Look, if Makhaya Ntini is in any batting record...
It's about ducks, is it?
I don't know what that record. It couldn't be a normal batting record.
There's Shoaib Akhtar and Mohammed Amir and Makhaya Ntini there.
Did he hang in as a night watchman sometimes, Makhaya? I don't know.
I'm with Harsha on that. I think, it's about
ducks.
Maybe low scores.
Ducks. Don't you think?
Ducks.
What do you think, DK?
Can't get lower than that.
Yeah. Ducks.
Oh, I've always tried to decode a lot of things in my life, but the Joy Factor, I don't try. I just zone off then. It's not something that I'm...
There's $10,000 in it today, DK. Come on, give it a shot.
I'm going to Google it right now.
Listen, out of the 4 of us,
he doesn't care.
Out of the 4 of us, only 2 have had IPL contracts. One of them hasn't had an IPL contract for a long time.
Yeah.
So the only person to whom $10,000 doesn't mean much is DK.
The only person who's wearing a $10,000 shirt right now is DK. So he doesn't care about it at all. He doesn't. But we want it. If he can just do it for us, that would be great. All right, send in your answers to #JoyFactor. So send in your answer. We have a guessing game that we play over here. At this point in time, I think the guessing game should just be
When is the game starting?
what time will the game start?
Good game.
Should we do that? Let's have fun with it. Because we have no idea right now. The covers are on. So what are we at? We are at 8:16 right now. What time will the game start?
The game will start at 9.
It's in New York. Don't say 9:11.
No.
Say 9:10. That's fine.
I was going to say 9:10, but just as well you said don't say 9:11.
Yeah, stay away.
So I'm saying 10 past 9.
10 past 9. What do you say?
I'm saying 5 to 9.
5 to... You think 8:55?
Just before they start cutting the overs, it'll start.
So 20 over game. He's saying 20 over game. I'm saying 19, 18, 19 over game.
Okay. What do you say, DK?
9 p.m.
9 p.m. I just want to say one thing though. I mean, even if it starts at 10 past 9, it's a day game.
Correct.
Full day is there. Why cut overs for this kind of a game? Full day is there.
Laws are laws, GK.
I think we really need to
stick
put
to
a
the
petition
laws
to
of-
get our
laws of
GK and
the
the
game.
ICC technical committee.
I really want to be there. The full day is there. I am willing to sit here till 2 in the morning. That's the sacrifice I'm willing to make for the game of cricket.
Where did they have a reserve day for India-Pakistan game?
They should.
Asia Cup, they
Asia
had
Cup.
one.
Yeah. They should even here.
And only for India-Pakistan game, they had a
But no
reserve
other
day.
game, correct.
So you want those kind of rules.
At least here's the thing. At least the Asia Cup is doing away with all pretense, right? Like, why? This is why we're having the tournament. So one reserve day for this. So I'm just saying, just call a spade a spade. It's the kind of guy I am. I'm saying it'll start at 9:02. It can't start at 9:02. It'll obviously start at some number. So I'll go with 9:05.
Okay.
So 8:55. You said 8:55.
Yeah.
You said 9 p.m. DK.
You
I
said 9:05. I said 9:10.
You said 9:10. Joy has just phoned in and he's saying it's going to happen at 10:20 because apparently he basically wants no game to happen so he doesn't have to give the $10,000.
But what the question is still being asked.
But he says the question is rad ho jayega, null and void. If the game doesn't happen, then
So we are talking about pressure in the India camp, pressure in the Pakistan camp. Who's going to do what? At the moment, the pressure is in the Joy camp because of what you just said.
yeah, that's right.
10,000.
Are we giving 5 minutes of leeway on both sides as well?
Yes.
Let's do that. Okay, let's do that as well.
Let's do 3 minutes leeway.
Let's do 30 minutes leeway. It's our game. I'm part of.
Everyone is winning.
It is true though, as DK said, it was a joke, but I am part of the guessing game technical committee. In fact, I'm the only member, and I have the veto vote.
This is like Calvin.
Bol bhai. 30 minutes. Kitna bolna hai?
Whatever
It's like
you
Calvin and Hobbes, man. You're really playing Calvin here.
And Hobbs. Both. And Spaceman Spiff. I'm playing all the characters. All right, that's all we have time for. We're going to go. We are feeling a bit like the Pakistan team right now. We don't know what's going to happen in 20 minutes from now. But as soon as we do, we'll let you know. So keep your notifications on the Cricbuzz app. I'd like to thank Harsha Bhogle and Zaheer Khan, who are kind and gracious enough to be here, sit with me, go through this ordeal in person. And of course, my really close friend Dinesh Karthik, who has decided that it was not worth being here with us today and has decided to phone it in. Thanks, DK. Thanks so much, man.
Pleasure, GK.
Thanks.
Pleasure.
I'm Gaurav Kapur. You are watching Cricbuzz Live. We're going to be here with you all evening, come rain or shine. Goodbye for now.